Hello, this is Slate with Combo of Rocks, bringing you another video deck tech of a deck that we built and sold by request. If you're not familiar with us, we make and sell custom budget EDH decks. These decks are light on the budget, so they may not be optimal or competitive, but they're definitely fun and centered around a central theme that you can build on. So today we have Kalamax the Stormsire, which is 1 green, red, blue for a 4/4 legendary elemental dinosaur. Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if it is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Whenever you copy an instant spell, put a 1/1 counter on Kalamax. So this deck is focused on copying spells. There are many ways to go infinite, making infinite copies. One way is to cast a cheap sorcery. Then you use an instant copy spell to copy that spell while this is tapped. Then you use that copy spell to copy the copy spell, and you continually copy until this gets infinite +1/+1 counters, or infinitely trigger this next card. Ral Storm Conduit, 2 blue-red for 4 loyalty Ral. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, it deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So if you're infinitely copying things, you're going to win the game that way. +2, scry 1. -2, whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, you can copy it. You can choose new targets for the copy. We have Galvanic Iteration, one of those instants that copy a spell, blue-red. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy it. You can choose new targets for the copy. This one does also have flashback for 1 blue-red. We have Storm Keen's Thunder, X and 3 red instant. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy that spell X times. You may choose new targets for the copy. We have Expansion and Explosion. So Expansion is blue-red hybrid. Copy an instant or sorcery with mana value 4 or less. Choose new targets for the copy. Explosion, X, blue, red. It deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards. Reiterate, 1 red instant with buyback for 3 colorless. Copy an instant or sorcery. Choose new targets. Bonus round, 1 red. This is a sorcery. When until end of turn, whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, that player copies it and chooses new targets for the copy. Chef's Kiss, 1 red instant. Gain control of target spell that targets only a single permanent or player. Copy it, then reselect the targets at random for the spell and the copy. The new targets can't be you or a permanent you control. Double Vision, 3 red enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery, copy that spell. You can choose new targets for the copy. Dual Caster Mage, 1 red for a 2/2 human wizard with flash. When it enters, copy an instant or sorcery, choose new targets. Fury Storm, 2 red instant. Cast it. You can copy it for each time you cast your commander from the command zone this game. Copy an instant or sorcery, choose new targets for the copy. Wild Ricochet, 2 red instant. You can choose new targets for target's instant or sorcery. Then copy that spell. You may choose 2 new targets for the copy. Reverberate, red instant. Copy an instant or sorcery. You may choose new targets. Twin Cast is the same thing, but in blue, same effect. Narset's Reversal, blue instant. Copy an instant or sorcery, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. Tidal Barracuda, 3 and a blue for a 3/4 fish. Any player can cast spells as though they had flash, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which is important for setting up a big combo turn where your opponents can't interact with you on. Swarm Intelligence, 6 and a blue enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, copy it. Choose new targets for the copy. False Floor, 4 mana artifact enters tapped. Creatures enter the battlefield tapped, so this is important for Kalamax. You can also pay to tap and exile it to exile all untapped creatures. So you want your Kalamax to remain tapped, but you want your opponent's creatures to eventually untap, and then when they do, you can exile them. Twinning Staff, 3 mana artifact. If you would copy a spell 1 or more times, copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new targets for the additional copy. 7 tap, copy target instant or sorcery. You can choose new targets for the copy. Just amazing in this deck. Springleaf Drum, 1 mana artifact. Tap an untapped creature you control to add a mana of any color. Just a good way to tap Kalamax without having to attack with him. Also adding some mana. Into some mana rocks, we have Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Gruul Signet, Izzet Signet, Simic Signet, Talisman of Impulse, Talisman of Creativity, Talisman of Curiosity, Honor-Worn Shaku, 3 mana, taps for colorless. You can tap an untapped legendary permanent you control to untap this, allowing you to tap it for 2 colorless in a turn, but also, more importantly, tapping your commander. Witch's Eye, 1 mana, 1 to equip. Equip creature has 1, tap, scry 1. Temur Charm, blue-red-green, instant, choose 1. A creature you control gets +1/+1. It fights a creature you don't control. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Or creatures with power 3 or less can't block this turn. Manamorphose, 1 red-green hybrid for an instant. Add 2 mana of any combination of colors. Draw a card. When you copy this, you add 4 mana of any combination, so it does ramp you in that way, and then you would get to draw 2 cards. Rutha, Mercurial Artist, 1 blue-red for a 1/4 legendary orc shaman. Pay 2, return it to your hand. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You can choose new targets for the copy. Nivix Guildmage, blue-red for a 2/2 human wizard. 1 blue-red, draw a card, discard a card. 2 blue-red, copy an instant or sorcery and choose new targets. Teach by example, blue-red hybrid instant. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Growth Spiral, blue-green instant. Draw a card, put land from your hand onto the battlefield. Retreat to Coral Helm, tune a blue enchantment. Whenever a land enters, choose 1. Tap or untap target creature, including tapping your Kalamax, or scry 1. Split Decision, 1 in a blue instant. Choose target instant or sorcery. Starting with you, each player votes for denial or duplication. If denial gets more votes, counter the spell. If duplication gets more votes, copy the spell. You can choose new targets for the copy. Remand, 1 in a blue, counters a spell, returns it to its owner's hand instead of the graveyard, and then draw a card. Negate, 1 in a blue, counters a non-creature spell. Disdainful Stroke, 1 in a blue, counters a spell with mana value 4 or greater. Preordain, 1 blue sorcery, scry 2, then draw a card. Geist Blast, 2 in a red instant, deals 2 damage to a creature or player. You can also pay 2 in a blue to exile it from your graveyard to copy an instant or sorcery and choose new targets. Twin Inferno, 1 in a red instant, choose 1. Target creature gains double strike, or whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Double Cast, red sorcery, whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy it to choose new targets. Fling, 1 in a red, just a good way to end the game once Kalamax has enough counters on it. If you're doing it infinitely and you run upon your fling, go ahead and fling them at your opponent. This can also be copied without having to sacrifice an additional creature, right? You copy the original one, and the original one then records the power of the creature you first flung. So you sack a creature, then it deals damage equal to its power to a creature or player. Soulfire is very similar, an extra mana, but you don't have to sacrifice the creature. Soulseer, 2 in a red instant, deals 5 damage to a creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible until end of turn. Jaspera Sentinel, 1 green for a 1/2 elf rogue with reach. Tap it and another untapped creature you control to add a mana of any color. Sentinel Stalwart, same thing, but you can tap an artifact as well as a creature. And Loam Dryad, same ability on a 1/2. Secure Tribolder, 1 in a green, 1/1. You can sack it to search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. Dawn Treader Elk, very similar ability, but you do have to pay a green for that. Rampant Growth, a sorcery that searches for a basic land and puts it on the battlefield tapped. Harrow, 2 in a green instant, as initial cost to cast, sack a creature. Again, if you copy this with Kalamax, you only have to sacrifice 1 land, but you will get 4 basic lands untapped, right? So they don't go on the battlefield tap, they go untapped. So you do get 4 lands in exchange if you copy this. Depending on how many times you copy this, you can get even more lands. Utopia Sprawl, 1 green, choose a color, enchants a forest. The forest taps for an additional mana of that color. Fertile Ground, very similar, but you don't choose the color on ETB. You can choose it as you tap the land. Bushwhack, 1 green sorcery, search for a basic land or a creature you control fights a creature you don't control. Explore, 1 in a green sorcery, play an additional land this turn, draw a card. Migration Path, 3 in a green sorcery, search for 2 basics, puts them onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't need this, you can also cycle it. Shower of Arrows, 2 in a green instant, destroys an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, then you scry 1. Shoot Down, very similar, but this is a sorcery, but it exiles the permanent instead. And then Broken Rings, same thing, destroys an artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying without the scry ability. Stomp, 1 red-green hybrid for a sorcery. Creature you control deals damage equal to its power to a creature or planeswalker you don't control. Could also be a tapped red-green land. And then Rush of Inspiration, 1 blue-red hybrid for instant. Draw 2 cards and discard a card at random unless you pay 2 energy, which we don't have any, so we'll always be discarding a card. But again, if you copy this with Kalamax, you will draw 4 cards and discard 2 cards at random. Blue-red tapped land as well. Into some actual lands, Cinderglade, Mossfire Valley, Game Trail, Fiery Islet, Sulphur Falls, Ferris Lake, Frostboil Snarl, Yavimaya Coast, Waterlogged Grove, Vine Glimmer Snarl, Flooded Grove, Overflowing Basin, Kessig Wolf Run. This will be important if your win con is getting infinite counters on Kalamax. You want to give him a +X+0 and trample. Exotic Orchard, Holdout Settlement. This one does tap a creature you control to add a mana of any color. Again, easy way to tap Kalamax. Survivor's Encampment is the same thing. It just has the land type Desert. Scene of the Crime is the same thing, but it is enter tapped. It also is a clue that you can sack to draw a card. Frontier Bivouac, Thriving Isle, Thriving Bluff, Thriving Grove, Command Tower, and then some basic islands, mountains, and forests. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, but we'll see you next time.